Most people go to Japan and visit Tokyo. Many of them like Ginza the most. But I was different. I did not go to Tokyo. I went to Hokkaido. I wanted to ski. I also wanted to see the snow. There are 3 very famous places in the world to enjoy snow: Changbai Mountain in China, Hokkaido in Japan, and the Alps in Europe. I stayed in a small hotel near the biggest ski area in Hokkaido. My trip was very secret. No one knew who I really was. From outside, the hotel looked old and broken. Most modern travelers would not stay there. But it was very quiet. There were no noisy Western tourists. I liked that very much. The owner was Madame Fuji. She was an old woman. No one knew her past, but she spoke like a noble lady. She took very good care of young guests who stayed alone. Living there felt like having a home under the snowy mountains. For several days, I skied every day. Sometimes I even rolled in the snow on purpose. It helped my body relax. It also made me feel like a child again. On the 5th day, it was a holiday. I knew many people would go skiing, so at first I stayed inside. But by noon, I felt bored. So I took my skis and went up the mountain by lift. I chose a very steep slope. People without experience would not ski there, so there were not many people. It was a sunny day. The light was very strong. Everyone wore big black ski glasses. I started skiing down. When I was halfway, I suddenly heard a woman scream behind me. I turned back quickly. I saw a girl. She wore a red and white sweater and a hat with the same colors. She suddenly lost balance and fell into the snow. The slope was very steep. After she fell, she rolled down very fast. Some people saw it too. They shouted in fear, but no one went to help her. That was understandable. If someone tried to stop her, they would fall together. On such a slope, even breaking only one leg would already be lucky. I stopped for only a moment. Then I pushed my ski poles and moved across the slope. The girl kept screaming. Sometimes her voice stopped. That was because her face went into the snow when she rolled. I moved across and met her path. I had already seen a small pine tree there, so I went toward it. When I arrived, I grabbed the tree with my left hand. With my right hand, I held out my ski pole and shouted, "Grab it!" At that moment, she rolled close. She reached out both hands. If she missed, I could not save her. Luckily, she caught the round part of my ski pole. Her speed stopped immediately. The small pine tree bent and made cracking sounds, but it did not break. I felt relieved. I pulled her up. Maybe her skin was always very white, or maybe she was too scared. Her face was as white as the snow. Soon, many people came around us. A middle-aged man ran over and shouted, "Yoshiko! Yoshiko, are you okay?" The girl stood up. So her name was Yoshiko. I looked at the man and felt surprised. He was very famous. Many people in Japan knew him. He was one of the best ski coaches. I had seen his photo in sports magazines. Then I understood. The girl I saved was Kusada Yoshiko. She was called the most promising female skier in Japan. Her skiing skill was better than mine, but today I saved her. It was really strange. She said, "Luckily this gentleman helped me." Her coach said roughly, "Let's go. Reporters must not know this. No photos." She picked up her skis and looked back at me. Because she wore black glasses, I could not see her face clearly. She asked, "Sir, what is your name? Where do you stay?" I did not want her to repay me, so I did not tell my real name. I remembered the hotel owner's family name, and this was my third time in Hokkaido. So I said, "My name is Fujisaburo." She said, "You stay in..." But she did not finish. Her coach pulled her away. I did not stay long either. I skied down the mountain and returned to the hotel. I still felt something was strange. Yoshiko should not have fallen. But I did not think too much. Soon, I arrived back at the hotel. Night came quickly. I asked a Japanese guest from the next room to play Go with me. He was a very famous surgeon in Japan. He was about 60 years old. Of course, his Go skill was much better than mine. I was thinking very hard, trying not to lose too badly. At that moment, I heard Madame Fuji's voice outside. "Fujisaburo, there is no person with that name here. My family name is Fuji. Miss Yoshiko, maybe you should ask another house." Then I heard Yoshiko's voice. She sighed softly. "I already asked everywhere. No one knows him. He is young. He wore a light blue ski suit. His body is strong. On his right hand, he wears a big amethyst ring." When she said this, I could not stop myself. I moved my hand a little. Now I was not wearing a light blue ski suit. I was wearing a dark gray kimono. But I still wore the ring. At that moment, the old doctor suddenly held my hand. He looked at me very seriously. At first, I did not understand, but soon I did. He snorted and said, "Young man, are you trying to trick a girl?" He thought I was a bad lover. He thought Yoshiko was a poor girl looking for her missing boyfriend. I could not help laughing. I only laughed twice when we suddenly heard Yoshiko's excited voice. "It's him! That's him!" Madame Fuji was still explaining. "He is a tourist from China. Miss Yoshiko, you must be mistaken." But before she finished speaking, Yoshiko almost ran into my room. She smiled brightly at me. Then she bowed deeply. "Mr. Fuji, please forgive me." The old doctor blinked. He did not understand what was happening, but he knew his guess before was wrong. Now I had no choice. I stood up and told her the truth. "Fujisaburo is not my real name. I only said that because I did not want you to repay me." Yoshiko kept smiling politely while listening. While I spoke, I looked at Kusada Yoshiko carefully. In real life, she was more beautiful than in newspapers and magazines. When you saw her in person, you felt close to her. Her face was lovely. Her smile was gentle. Her manner was soft and polite. Being near her made people feel comfortable. She wore a thick fur coat. It made her look even smaller and more delicate. Because she came in a hurry, she had not taken it off yet. The old doctor tapped the go stones on the board and said, "So, what happened?" Yoshiko smiled and told him about the accident during the day. Then she suddenly said, "I think I should not ski anymore." I was surprised. Falling on a slope can happen to anyone. Why give up your favorite sport? Yoshiko took off her coat and sat down. She made the fire stronger in the brazier. Then she spoke slowly. "It is not because of the fall. It is because I saw something in the snow. A vision. It scared me, so I fell. I had already wondered why she fell. Now I became curious again. Miss Yoshiko, what did you see? I saw a man. Before she finished, the old doctor and Madame Fuji both laughed loudly. Even I smiled. After all, seeing a man was not a vision. Yoshiko's face turned red. Please don't laugh. I saw a man. The back of his hand was cut by a tree branch. He leaned against a tree and wiped blood. His blood. His blood. Her face became pale again. I quickly asked, "What about his blood?" She sighed softly. Maybe my eyes were wrong, but his blood was blue. I smiled and said, "Miss Yoshiko, maybe it was because of your dark glasses." She shook her head strongly. No, because of that I took off my glasses. I saw clearly. His blood was blue. His skin was very white, so white that I cannot describe it. When she said this, I suddenly felt shocked. I asked seriously, "Miss Yoshiko, was his skin white with a little blue color? A color that makes people feel uncomfortable?" Yoshiko was surprised. You saw him too? Then what I saw was not a vision?" I closed my eyes for about 2 seconds. In those 2 seconds, I remembered something from a long time ago. Then I opened my eyes and said, "You continue first." Yoshiko nodded. She looked a little nervous. I pointed at him and said, "Sir, your blood." The man raised his head and looked at me. I suddenly felt dizzy. Then I fell down the slope. I repeated quietly, "Dizzy." My voice was very low. I also lowered my head. Everyone was listening to Yoshiko. No one noticed me. After saying that one word, I stopped speaking. Yoshiko took a few breaths and continued. When I fell, my mind was clear. I knew falling from such a steep slope was dangerous, but I could not do anything. I just fell. If Mr. Wei had not saved me. She stopped for a moment and looked at me with grateful eyes. I said quickly, "That was nothing. Miss Kusada, you don't need to think about it." She sighed softly. "Mr. Wei, I will never forget you." She looked at me again, a little shy, like many Eastern women. "After you caught me, I looked up the slope." I interrupted. "Miss Kusada, there was no one above us." She nodded. "Yes, that scared me very much. Unless he skied down, it was very hard to go back up such a slope. But he disappeared, mysteriously." When Kusada Yoshika said this, Madame Fuji kindly held her hand. The old doctor yawned and said, "Miss Kusada, do you want me to introduce a doctor to you?" Yoshika said quickly, "Sir, I did not see wrong. The old doctor waved his hand. "I know. Everyone who sees a vision believes it is real. But when the vision suddenly disappears, they think it vanished into the air." Yoshika listened quietly. After he finished speaking, she covered her face with both hands and began to cry. "Then I cannot join the world ski competition." Madame Fuji looked at her with sympathy. The old doctor stretched his body, said goodbye to everyone, and went back to his own room. I put on a thick coat and said, "Miss Kusada, where are you staying? I will walk you back. I still have something to tell you." Yoshika slowly stopped crying. She stood up. Madame Fuji walked us to the door. Outside, heavy snow was falling. Everything was very quiet. Yoshiko and I walked side by side. I kept looking behind us again and again, My behavior did not escape her notice. She could not help asking, "Mr. Wei, is someone following us?" At that moment, my feelings were hard to describe. There was no one behind us, but inside my heart, I kept feeling that something was wrong. I tried to control the strange fear in my mind. "Miss Kusada, are you alone here?" Yoshiko said, "I was with my cousin before, but her fiancé was hit by a car in Tokyo. She went back to take care of him. Now I stay in a hotel with my coach." I thought for a moment and said, "Tonight, would it be possible for you to ask your coach to stay in your room and talk with you?" Yoshiko's face immediately turned red. "Oh, no. He has wanted something from me for a long time. If that happens..." She shook her head strongly. "No." I said again, "Then can you find someone else to stay with you tonight?" Her eyes became wide. "Why? Mr. Wei, will I be in danger tonight? I can ask the police for protection." I said, "It is not that kind of danger. Miss Kusada, please don't feel sad about today. I can tell you for sure the person you saw today was real. It was not your imagination. Your skiing career is not harmed at all." She looked at me in surprise. "How can you be so sure?" I closed my eyes again for a few seconds. Once more, I thought about that distant memory. I sighed in my heart. Then I told a lie. "When I caught you earlier, I also saw that man. He was skiing down very fast. I had no choice but to lie. In fact, when I caught Yoshiko, I looked up immediately. I saw very clearly there was no one above us." Yoshiko looked at me with wide eyes. Trust shined inside them. That made me feel ashamed. I turned my head slightly away. "Tonight, you really cannot find someone to stay with you?" She asked again, "Why must someone stay with me?" I felt troubled. After thinking, I said, "I am worried that after today's accident, your mind may not be very stable." Before I finished, she said, "Don't worry, now my heart is completely calm." We walked together in silence for a while. Soon we reached the entrance of her hotel. The lights at the door were already clear in front of us. I stopped walking. "Miss Kusada, I have a few words. They may sound strange, but I want you to follow them. Can you promise me?" She turned and looked at me strangely. I was taller than her. She had to raise her head to look at me. Snow fell onto her face and melted immediately, leaving small drops of water on her beautiful skin. I said, "If you must sleep alone tonight, you should sleep in a happy mood. You can borrow some light music records from the hotel. Don't think about anything. Especially don't think about unhappy things." I stopped and watched her reaction. Yoshika smiled sweetly. "Mr. Wei, you were treating me like a child." I smiled too, but my smile must have looked unnatural, because if my memory was correct, Kusada Yoshika was in extreme danger. Everything I told her was not a joke. It was about life and death, but I could not explain the truth clearly. There were two very important words I could not mention, because the only way to prevent disaster was for her to stay calm and happy. If she thought about those two words, it would be very bad. After forcing a small smile, I said, "That is all I wanted to say. Can you do it?" Yoshiko smiled. Yes, I can. She looked happy. She waved to me and ran toward the hotel. After running about 10 steps, she turned back and shouted, "See you tomorrow!" I waved back, "See you tomorrow!" I stood there until I could no longer see her figure. Then I turned around and walked back alone to Madame Fuji's inn. The road was very quiet. The snow became heavier and heavier. Everything in front of my eyes looked blurry, and the strange fear inside my heart slowly grew until it became real panic.